Are you mechanically declined and you want to become mechanically inclined? What tools do you need and how do you use them? First of all, having a tool does not make you mechanically inclined. But without tools, it's really hard to get anything done. If you have a screw that needs to be turned, you need a screwdriver. If you have a nail to go into wood, you need a hammer. In this video, we'll talk about the basics of hammers, why you use them, what types of hammers do you need, and how do you avoid smashing your thumb? And then, when do you need another hammer? So even if you know something about hammers, stick around for tips on using a hammer without smashing your thumb. A hammer, in its most basic design, is a force multiplier. It takes the force you put into it, plus the weight of the hammer and the speed of the swing, and applies it to the spot you hit. Normally, at a much greater force than you could possibly apply without the hammer. But how you use a hammer is going to determine how much force is going to be applied and where it will be applied. There are many types of hammers that are available. Most people are familiar with the basic claw hammer, but even this has many variations. There are curved claw hammers, straight claw hammers, finishing hammers, framing hammers, and claw hammers for demolition. One of the most useful hammers for demolition is a sledgehammer. This has a very heavy head with a long handle to multiply the force to a maximum level. Another hammer type is the ball-peen hammer that has many applications, and many others that are more specialized for particular applications. The type of hammer you need depends on what you're hitting, why you're hitting it, and how much force is needed. Whether you're male or female, young or old, all of this has an effect on the size of hammer to be used, but not as much as you might think. I know of 110-pound women who can swing an 8 to 10-pound sledgehammer with more effect than men twice their size because they've learned the technique of letting the tool do the work, whereas the men didn't. A hammer is a tool that has to be respected. Even a little hammer can cause much harm if not maintained or used properly. Safety precautions for using a hammer include inspecting for damage before use, wear eye protection and hand protection because things can fly even if you have used a hammer for many years, and hand protection is important because, quite frankly, there's a lot of things going on with using a hammer. Inspecting the hammer includes looking for damage to the head, such as cracks or mushrooming on softer hammers. In the case of cracks, the hammer should be put in the trash. It's dangerous. Don't use it. Mushrooming happens when a brass or aluminum hammer has been used extensively, and the mushrooming can be filed or sanded off, and the hammer can be put back in service if there's no cracks or other issues. The other thing to inspect is the handle. If the handle is damaged, it should be replaced, or the hammer itself should be replaced. The handle gets damaged from missing the spot you're trying to hit, and the handle hits it instead. Or the hammer was abused in some way. This is why some handles are made of steel, to take the abuse and still be safe to use. When using a hammer, the swing is where you develop the power of the blow or impact. The longer the swing, the more power. It's important to use the handle correctly. If you hold the handle up close to the head of the hammer, it won't apply as much force to the blow. If you hold the handle at the end of the handle, far from the head, you will apply the most force to the blow. The greatest example of this is the sledgehammer. If you hold it close to the head, it will not give the results you would expect from such a heavy hammer. But hold it from the end, and you can drive right through concrete or even form steel. Practice is important with a hammer. Holding it at the end of the handle means you have to be able to aim and hit what you're aiming at. What you hit and what it's connected to are also important to the effectiveness of the blow. The object that's being hit or what it's connected to must have greater mass than the hammer and swing. Here's an example. I used this plastic crate as a table to hammer on. In the middle of the crate, there's almost no mass and it flexes. Even when I use my sledgehammer as an anvil in the middle of it, it just bounces with a small hammer. Imagine what it would do with a larger hammer. At the corner of the crate, the structure is more stiff and connects to the ground for greater mass. And with the sledgehammer anvil, I can now get much more effect to each blow of the hammer. This is also true of just driving a nail into wood. If there isn't enough mass in front of the nail point, the force of the blow will just move the wood that you're trying to put the nail into. I've seen people try to hammer something into place only to have it bounce around instead of doing the work that's needed. On the back of a claw hammer, is a device to remove nails. This claw is designed to wedge the nail in place and allow leverage to pull it out. Sometimes on large nails or stakes, the claw can't get enough leverage or can't get a grip on the nail. In these cases, a pry bar can be used to get the nail out enough to get a grip on the nail. A hammer can be used for moving something gently, or moving it against the friction of adjacent objects, or it can be used to form something into a shape, or smashing it into little pieces. It all depends on what your goal of hitting something is. Now, how do you avoid smashing something that you don't want to smash, such as your thumb? First of all, use the right hammer for the job. If the hammer is too small, you won't get the effect you're looking for. If it's too large, it won't be controllable, and your thumb and other things will be in harm's way. Next, keep what you don't want to hit out of the way, far out of the way if possible. This means using something expendable or very durable to hold the object to be hit. If you can't hold the object, like a nail, any other way than with your hands, don't hold the nail with your thumb. Put it between your fingers with your palm facing up. That way, if you miss the nail, what you hit is less likely to be hurt by the blow than your thumb. Gloves also help to keep fingers and hands safer, especially when using a sledgehammer.
Thanks for watching our video. If you like what you see, press the like button below and subscribe. And also check out our other videos.